Namaste. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Sri Krishna Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Sri Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Jaya Radha Shama Sundar Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Madhava Shri Radhe Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol
Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Harivedikacharya Astacharasatasi Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki, ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki, Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi, Gaura Bhaktavrinda ki, Shri Shri Radha Shama Sundara ki, Shri Shri Radha Madhava ki, Shriman Gaur Hari ki, Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjavi Adi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjavi Adi Gopi Jana Bala Girivada Dadi Gopi Jana Bala Girivada Dadi Yasodhanandana Brajajanarandana Yasodhanandana Brajajanarandana Yamana Tiravana Chadi Jamana Tiravana Chadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjavi Adi Madhava Kunjavi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjavi Adi Madhava Kunjavi Adi Gopi Jana Badabha Girivada Dadi Gopi Jana Bhalabha Girivada Dadi Yasodhanandana Brajajanarandana Yasodhanandana Brajajanarandana Yamuna Tiravana Chadi Yamuna Tiravana Chadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjavi Adi Madhava Kunjavi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjavi Adi Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajagacharya Astatarasata Srimad His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Gaur Premanandi. We ran out of these little red carpets. Oh, there's a pile. Okay, there's the pile. Okay. I'm used to seeing it over there. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udhirayat. Canto 3, Chapter 18, Text 13, 14, and 15. We'll chant 13. Maitreya Uvacha So Dikshipto Bhagavata Palabdas Charushabrisham Ajaharol Banam Krodham Klidjamano Hi Radha Iva Maitreya Uvacha So Dikshipto Bhagavata Pralabdhas Charushabrisham Ajaharol Banam Krodham Kridyamano Hirad Iva Maitreya Uvacha So Dikshito Bhagavata Maitreya Uvacha So Dikshito Bhagavata Pralabdhascha Rishabhrisham Maitreya Uvacha So Dikshito Bhagavata Pralabdhascha Rishabhrisham Ajaharobanam Nam Kridyamano Hirad Iva Maitreya Uvacha So Dikshito Bhagavata Pralabdhascha Rishabhrisham Ajaharol Panam Krodham Maitreya Uvacha So Dikshito Bhagavata Sri Maitreya said, the demon, being thus challenged by the personality of Godhead, became angry and agitated, and he trembled in anger like a challenged cobra. Purport: a cobra is very fierce before ordinary persons, but before an enchanter who can play with him, he's a plaything. Similarly, a demon may be very powerful in his own domain, but before the Lord he is insignificant. The demon Ravana was a fierce figure before the demigods, but when he was before Lord Ramachandra, he trembled and prayed to his deity, Lord Shiva, but to no avail. Text 14, no purport. Hissing indignantly, all his senses shaken by wrath, the demon quickly sprang upon the Lord and dealt him a blow with his powerful mace. 15. The Lord, however, by moving slightly aside, dodged the violent mace blow aimed at his breast by the enemy, just as an accomplished yogi would elude death. Purport. The example is given herein that the perfect yogi can overcome a death blow, although it is offered by the laws of nature. It is useless for a demon to beat the transcendental body of the Lord with a powerful mace, for no one can surpass his prowess. Those who are advanced transcendentalists are freed from the laws of nature, and even a death blow cannot act on them. Superficially, it may be seen that a yogi is attacked by a death blow, but by the grace of the Lord, he can overcome many such attacks for the service of the Lord. As the Lord exists by his own independent prowess, by the grace of the Lord, the devotees also exist for his service. So the context of this narration is in a forest, Vidura, being sent by Uddhava, has found Maitreya. Maitreya was expecting him to come, and sure enough he came. And Vidura did although Vidura himself is a saint, a saintly person, he likes to hear from exalted individuals like Maitreya, so he presents many questions, forms of the Lord as they appear in this world, for example, because that's one of the questions asked by the sages of Naimisharanya, going back to first canto. So inquiry about such things is natural. Again, it's not that Vidura didn't know. Just like we may read something and hear something and hear it again and again, and it's not that we don't know. We may know or may not know, but it's not that we're asking because we don't know. We like to hear. And one of the ways to prompt hearing is ask a qualified person to please narrate. And depending upon the circumstance and the inquiring person, in this case it's Vidura, he gets into it. But one can only imagine, because according to the description of the 18,000 verses of the Bhagavatam have a much larger number in the heavenly planets. So if you want to hear more, go to the heavenly planets and you'll hear more. But the essence, hearing it again and hearing it again and hearing it again, is natural and very nice. So although many of us know the pastime, hearing it again and hearing it again it's compared to taking a stick of sandalwood and rubbing it into circular motion on a flat stone. There's a fragrance to sandalwood, and by grinding or the circular motion of the sandalwood on a flat stone with a little water, then you make sandalwood paste, and the fragrance expands. Similarly, the sweetness of the already sweet topics of the personality of Godhead or Bhagavatam verses expand just by hearing them again and hearing them again and again and again, which is very different than mundane subject matters after some time. Enough, or even before it's enough, it's enough. So Maitreya is speaking, and he's being responsive to an earlier question from the previous chapter, because the beginning of this chapter is a continuation of this whole history. And now the focus is on after Lord Varaha has spoken insulting words, then the purpose was achieved. You know, he felt insulted. And he was insulted, but he felt, as he's not a transcendentalist. You saying insulting words to a transcendentalist doesn't matter, because that came before. Hiranyaksa was saying insulting words. And then, you know, as we already discussed, he felt something, he didn't feel something, he felt something, he didn't feel something. Certainly not a material feeling. So then comes, well, what kind of feeling? Then is it transcendental anger? What's a transcendental anger? It's not false ego. False ego is someone says something, as Lord Varaha said something insulting, several somethings that were insulting, you know, indirectly, but also insulting to Hiranyaksha. He felt anger. The personality of Godhead doesn't feel that kind of anger. Their false ego gets damaged, and so they become angry. Not like that. Can the Supreme Lord feel anger? The Supreme Lord can feel anything. And then what? Then if there's a transcendental anger, what's that? It depends on the circumstance, but it's not the material kind. Because I was insulted, I feel anger. Here's a person that's disturbed the universe, disturbed the Earth planet significantly, and living entities were put in great distress because of him. And so the transcendental anger is, he's to be corrected. And he gets corrected. So behind that course of correction, there's a transcendental anger. Is there anger? Not the material kind. Oh yeah, I'll show you. Not that kind. He keeps order within the universe. We had this discussion yesterday about going forward in time with when there's some misbehavior, like Putana, what to do. So some recourse is to be exercised, and it depends on the circumstance and one's qualification, how one exercises, or who does the exercising. Anyway, so rather than revisit that topic, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is going to free Hiranyaksha from his mischief-making, at least for this lifetime. And that's the anger, vinashaya traduskritam, to give protection to innocent and to admonish the mischief maker. So behind that is a transcendental anger, to set the order of the universe back in proper order. So he spoke strong words, and now let's go to the Sanskrit here. In the translation of the sentence, it says, in the translation below, the demon being thus challenged by the personality of Godhead, but the Sanskrit says, Adi Shiptaha. He insulted him. He challenged him. He insulted him. There was a challenge. And it was purposeful. It's to inspire a battle. To finish him. And then his fun of doing battle with a powerful, very powerful demon. So challenged. It's a common expression these days. Someone feels challenged by some circumstance. There's a conflict, and they feel challenged by the conflict. There are different ways in which, in different circumstances, in which that challenged is, but the status quo is challenged. We're going along in a straight line, and all of a sudden, something comes along and you can't go on that straight line anymore. You're challenged. Not so long ago, we were going to a university program. Following the GPS, we put in the destination, and we got to a place where they were doing some kind of construction, so the GPS said go straight, but there's big barricades, we couldn't go straight. And the GPS didn't tell us. We had to turn left or right. Fortunately, the driver knew what to do. We turned right and then went around the barricades. And then the GPS picked up and how to get to our destination. We got to our destination. So there may be obstacles, and it brings a challenge. So the challenge may be health. The challenge may be a relationship. Or the challenge may be, like we were discussing yesterday, some misbehavior. Or the challenge may be whatever the challenge may be. So you're going along in a straight line, and all of a sudden there's a challenge. And how are you going to deal with the challenge? If you're a demon, you do what Hiranyaksa did. You bash the person that provides the challenge. That's what you do. Combat. And devotees likely may have combat as the challenge, but it's not coming from the same places. Oh yeah, you're going to challenge me. So not like a devotee doesn't undergo that kind of emotion. But, generally speaking, combat is not, the first choice. It takes purity, and it takes a lot of practice to think in a nice, reflective space. Krishna is being very kind. I know somebody, just happened this morning on the way over here, they're trying XYZ, to go from a less fortunate to a more fortunate situation, career-wise, and they're doing all the things that one could do, should do, seeking advice of Vaishnavas, so that they can shift from position A to position B, because it's much, much better. Anukulyasya sankalpa. Accepting those things that would make their situation more favorable. It is not happening, and it's not happening, and it's not happening. So he's challenged. It's not changing. No, the unspoken question was what to do now. I'm continuing to be challenged. And I'm doing all the right things, and the challenge is still there. So we may be in those situations. Sometimes we find ourselves in those situations. Or you have someone dear to you who's in such a situation, like this case. So how do you help them deal with the challenge? If they're a demon, you just fight. But if they're not a demon, then what do you do? What's the advice? So, if you want to go, like we wanted to go to this program, this university program, and we didn't, when we reached the roadblock, big wooden, big signs, the thing was blockaded. They were doing some construction just on the other side. We didn't know how many blocks or how long. So it was a challenge. So we took a choice, and we made it. Just went around the construction to the other side, and we made it. So continue one option. It's good to make options when there's a challenge. What are some of my choices? I'm at this challenge place. Pause. Krishna is to be pleased. Make sure that's in your GPS. And then, what are my options? Bearing in mind, in the foreground, not I'm at the center. We had this extended discussion, self-centeredness, even in devotional service. Self-centeredness, even devotional service. And so, it's not saying that this particular person it didn't happen because of being self-centered. So another option is Krishna's examining one's determination. It can be. Not always that's the situation, but Krishna may be examining one's determination. Here's the obstacle. And then over there's another obstacle, and over there's another. Any way you turn, you see obstacles. You see challenges. Yikes, what to do? That's one option is Krishna's examining someone who is close to you, someone who you're guiding, your child or someone. Krishna's examining their determination. No, the determination for what? Not to, get something. But, a Krishna conscious objective. Accepting that which is favorable for Krishna's service. But it's not happening because there's an obstacle. It happens. So Krishna may be testing your or someone else's determination. And then comes the acceptance of you reevaluate, is this really with the purpose that Krishna should be pleased, or is it, what's behind, what's the consciousness behind that Krishna wants me to adjust? And if you go through all those procedures, then you just remain patient. Utsahanishchayat dharyat. And you hit the reset button, and you just remain patient and continue. Maybe with refined procedure, maybe with refined or upgraded sense of purpose. It's not about me, it's about service to Krishna and accepting that which is favorable for service to. So you go through all those exercises. If you become strong in your Krishna consciousness, it doesn't have to take, a lot of time. You don't have to get mental about it. You just go through a procedure. Then Krishna will give intelligence, if that's what's needed, sufficient intelligence and determination, according to the dictate of Supersoul, to carry forward. So now let's go back to the story. He's insulted. He's challenged by the personality of Godhead. So what did he do? He became angry and agitated. And his anger produced a bodily transformation. It's not an anubhava either. The symptoms of the body reflecting a transcendental emotion. It's not a transcendental emotion, it's just frustration, anger, and then there's symptoms on the bodily platform. He was trembling like a challenged cobra. Then Prabhupada's purport. Cobras are dangerous. But for a snake charmer, there's no fear. So the personality of Godhead certainly had no fear. But it's like, supposing we're not the personality of Godhead, then here comes a cobra-like person or cobra-like situation. So if one has the ability, as a snake charmer knows how to charm the cobra, not fearful. The hoods are raised, the tongue is going, whatever sounds they make, who knows, or a rattlesnake, but they remain fearless, the snake charmer, in the face of a cobra. So if you're not a snake charmer, you better watch out. Don't mess with cobras. But the personality of Godhead is not intimidated by his hissing and his anger. He did what he did to provoke his anger, and sure enough it worked, because the anger is needed before there's a fight. So the transcendental anger of the personality of Godhead, in contrast, the anger of Hiranyaksa, cobra-like Hiranyaksa, hissing indignantly, all his senses shaken by wrath. Then he jumped into action. He had a powerful mace. He swung his mace at the chest of the Lord to smash Lord Varaha in the chest. He just quickly moved to the side, so he missed him. Dodged the violent mace blow aimed at his breast by the enemy, just as an accomplished yogi would elude death. Then, the conversation moves from what the Supreme Personality of Godhead did to what a devotee might do. But if Prabhupada was dealt some death blows, it wasn't this, didn't work the same way as Prahlad Maharaj. Death blows, he was protected. Prabhupada was protected more than once, several times. And aside from the heart attack circumstances, other circumstances where there were explicit threats to his life, without the detail. In the San Francisco Rath Yatra, there was a plan, and it was known, the word got around, they're going to attack Prabhupada at the San Francisco Rath Yatra. And he went ahead anyways. And he was protected anyways. And so forth. So we don't act foolishly thinking, I'm a devotee, Krishna will protect me, let me go into danger zone and no problem because Krishna will protect me. La-di-da. So we take precaution. At the same time, that fearlessness is there because of knowing that Krishna is one's protector. One of the symptoms of surrender. The Lord is my protector. We don't act foolishly thinking the Lord will protect me, I can act foolishly, it's okay. Precaution. but confidence at the same time. And when there's that full shelter, then intelligence is given, what to do, what not to do, how to do what is to be done. And then, the Krishna connection factor is part of that are being protected. One may decide to not do something because there's danger. I mean, how many times Prabhupada said, Gandhi was warned. Mr. Patel told him, there's talk. Your life is being threatened. He went anyways and got shot. So, great soul, but he got shot. So, it's not because he got shot that proves that he's not an elevated soul. It's just, with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there's no question. With living entities, jiva souls, there may be some question. What's to be done? What's not to be done? What's the place of safety? What's the place of not going out on the limb, waiting till you hear the limb start to crack and then run back for the trunk of the tree? Prabhupada said this on more than one occasion. You Western boys and girls, you take some pleasure from going out on a limb and waiting for that moment where the sound of the cracking limb, and then you run quickly, rush back to the trunk. Don't take such risks. Don't be foolish. So then, finally it comes to Super Soul giving intelligence, do this and don't do that. So in this way, by truly taking shelter of Krishna, one will be inspired by Krishna what to do, what not to do, when to take risk, when not to take risk. And if you don't have sufficient intelligence, better to be safe. At the same time, living in the material world, there's risk. Get in your car and travel to wherever you're going, and ask Shatarupa. Her car got a fat lip. Where is she? In the kitchen. Okay. She, going somewhere in the rain, and all of a sudden the cars in front of her stopped, and she slammed on the brakes, and the car slid and rammed into the back of the car in front of her. Not like she's, a wild driver, but accidents can happen. So we're taking risk. We take risks thoughtfully, but there's risk. Even you're a nice devotee, there's risks. And you're being careful, there's risk. So we should be aware. So when you're aware that there's risk at all time, what do? Make sure you're taking shelter. I came across a quote that's I'm going to be thinking a lot about. There's a book written by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur entitled 100 something warnings or admonitions about materialistic consciousness. And one of those, at least the second half of one of those, is never desist from striving to achieve Shuddhanam. So while we're in a place that's risky, the material world, and we're less than perfect beings, so you're small and weak and less than perfect, never desist from always, ever striving to achieve the stage of Shuddhanam. And that striving is our protection. Even some calamity may come and fall on our head. We're protected. Ultimately. There's no loss or diminution, anything. So Krishna sees, Krishna accepts, and Krishna will help. And that's our life. So I'm not going to be here tomorrow morning. Saturday morning. So someone's going to have to enjoy hearing the rest of the battle, and I'm not going to. I don't know what here. I'm not giving a Bhagavatam class tomorrow morning. Huh? What? Oh, okay, I couldn't follow what you said. Yeah, but this verse, the next verse from third canto Bhagavatam, you're going to have to hear it some other day. That's all I'm saying. Stay tuned for the exciting battle between Hiranyaksa and the Lord Varaha. Discussion.
The word trembled was in the translation a few times.
A little louder.
Trembled. The word trembled was in the translation.
He's trembling.
Yeah, so
bodily symptoms of emotion.
Guru Maharaj, you were appreciating the word anukampa.
Yeah.
Tremble with.
Yeah, that's a different kind.
Yes. So just the stark contrast of how the Lord trembles too, but he trembles with our suffering and compassion for us.
Yeah.
And here this demon is trembling too.
Yes, thank you for that. I was thinking of that when I was preparing for the class, but I got caught up in another topic. So yeah, he trembles also. There's transcendental anger, there's transcendental trembling. There's material anger, there's material trembling. The science, I've not studied it sufficiently, far from it, but when there's a strong emotion, corresponding to a strong emotion, there's something that manifests on the physical plane. So there's the bodily transformations that are symptoms of a transcendental emotion. For transcendental emotion, there's a transcendental symptom. Tears, trembling, and so forth. Then there's material. The material is a reflection of the spiritual. Anything else? Yes?
Another thought that's coming up, Guru Maharaj. We understand from science that the human brain is wired for survival. So fight, flight, or freeze are like these autonomic responses of the nervous system.
Yes, you have to think on it.
And it is more conducive for survival if the brain interprets something as a threat rather than as benign, because if something that is threat producing is interpreted as benign, the species or the entity is at risk of extinction. So that's the understanding that brain science has. And here we're speaking about, instead of, responding to challenge, this ability to pause and take shelter in Krishna. It sounds like it's contradictory to,
laws of nature. Well, you commented on the same point in relation to Ambarish Maharaj. His mind didn't move, his feet didn't move, his arms didn't move, even though there's death threat heading his way. That's unusual. He defied the autonomic nervous system. Because he was in the place of full shelter. Now, even if you're in the place of full shelter, do you not, something comes flying at your face, do you not put your arm, it's just reflex. You don't have to think about it. Something, he's in a different caliber of Krishna consciousness. Of course, fully under the direction of the Supreme Lord. It's just a detail about his intimacy with the personality of Godhead. He didn't have to, nor did he. And going back to the context of this narration, explicitly, Varaha provoked the demon, knowing that the demon would respond the way that the demon responded. It was deliberate. Because he wanted a tussle. And so he got it. And he knew that Hiranyaksa would want a tussle, and he said he fulfilled his desire. And then they had a tussle. And it goes on for a little bit until he finishes him. Very, very curious Leela. He enjoys. And fulfilling the desires of others while he enjoys. And then the demigods that are observing all this, they're in trepidation. But so that's another emotion, and then he finishes in Hiranyaksa, so it's a great relief. Amazing. It's very sweet. Anything else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I had a question related to not something that we discussed today, but we discussed 2 days ago, and this was the Lord feeling hurt with the words. Maybe I misheard it.
No, you didn't mishear. We had this discussion.
Correct. And so my question is, the Lord understands that ultimately these are Jaya Vijaya, and these are his very intimate associates, and yet I understand this could be the drama aspect of it.
Yeah.
And so is that feeling just part of the dramatic pastimes?
It's not like he's reading a script.
Yeah.
In that sense, it's phony. It's not real. He's just play acting. It is similar to, different from, but similar to Krishna's crying when he sees the stick in Mother Yasoda's hand. Queen Kunti says, how amazing. He who is the supreme controller is afraid of a little stick in Krishna's Mother Yasoda's hand, and he cries. So then the commentary is, it wasn't play acting. Okay, the script says I'm supposed to cry, so boo-hoo, I'm crying. He felt fear of the little stick, Lati, little stick, Mother Yasoda's hand. And she saw him crying, so she threw the stick away because she didn't want him to cry. It's just, he felt fear. to me, Kunti's saying, is most amazing. Now, that's Mother Jasoda, and it's different than the anger issue. But the whole thing is his Leela, and he we discussed this, he can move very freely from this emotion to that emotion, back to the first emotion, back to this next emotion, and he's not restricted. His feelings are not restricted. His actions are not. He's unrestricted, completely. So, what kind of anger was that anger? Well, you just give it a nice label and call it transcendental. And I spent some time in the beginning describing what might be ways that prompted that anger. Hiranyaksa, has caused a big disturbance for the universe and for the living entities on the Earth planet. He's going to let him have it because he protects the devotees and he's messing. So it's a transcendental anger. And then the next moment he's indifferent. He doesn't pay any attention. Barking dog. No, just indifferent totally. No feeling whatsoever about woof woof. Insulting words. But then he's angered. He's very fluid in his how he deals with things. And the commentary helps us. There's so many things that we benefit by hearing transcendental commentary. I was thinking about this morning. How would we know from the evening discussion of Putana, the third verse, where Shukadeva Goswami, is wanting to calm the emotion of Maharaj Parikshit? I wouldn't catch that if it wasn't for the commentary. What was he doing? What was his intention in speaking that verse? It's to calm the emotion that Maharaj Parikshit was feeling, hearing, Putana is entering Gokula. Now he's a devotee of the Supreme Lord, and he knows little pipsqueak Putana can't do anything, and it's already happened, and she got it. But he has this feeling anyways, so he's calming the emotion of Maharaj Parikshit. I mean, I wouldn't have caught it. So our commentators help us to get insight into, not just the backstory, but the purpose of each of the selected verses, the volumes and volumes of meaning within each verse or within each word of the Bhagavatam as we hear. So I'm just going off a little bit that this emotion of anger, and then it disappears, and then it comes back again, and then he speaks in a humble way, but it's actually an insulting way, and it's all very interesting. Okay. More? Okay.
It's not a question. I was just appreciating the 15th text translation that yogis can overcome the death, and more appreciating the purport that Prabhupada says they're able to overcome the death that is it's offered by the laws of nature. And at the end he was commenting how by the mercy of the Lord, devotees also is equipped with that power. I was just appreciating, and you will comment anything.
It's similar to Sri Radhika's comment of the autonomic nervous system. And the devotee can overcome the autonomic nervous system. Not to say that's the real test of are you a devotee or not. But if the Lord so desires, you can be like Maharaj Ambarish, if the Lord so desires. If the Lord so desires, you can do something else. But the onslaught, the laws of nature and the onslaught that comes through the agency of the laws of nature, we're all dependent. We're not independent. And if the Lord so chooses, so we place ourselves purposely and consciously in a dependent posture, even when doing something that takes courage and boldness and vigor. We're feeling dependent upon the Lord's mercy. That's the standard. It's like Prabhupada's arrival prayer in the Boston Harbor. If you brought me to dance, then make me dance, make me dance, make me dance as you like. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.